Here. Welcome, guys. I know you're expecting Jeff Hill. Hello, my name's not Jeff Hill. If I were, I'd be famous, but I'm not. My name is Kevin Shaw, and I am the regional manager in the Northeast region. And I want to extend a special welcome to you guys tonight on this phenomenal call, something that I'm extremely passionate about and something that I think we need to learn more about, and that is all about Shakeology. And that's why we have Darin here with us today. We're thrilled to have him on our call. But before we get started, let's go over a few housekeeping items. There is going to be a lot of us on this call, and so if you do have questions, and I hope you do, please put them in the chat. I have my pen, my handy dandy pen here, and I'm going to take mark your questions. And if there is time, I can't guarantee if there will be, but if there is time, we will allow for questions that you guys have for Darin, if things you guys have about Shakeology. Now, this is our final Zoom call on our little series. This one we're wrapping it up with Shakeology. On the 27th, Kim Carver is going to go live on the Champions page to talk about, okay, now we've learned about Shakeology. Now we've learned about Daily Sunshine. How do we apply that? How do we build our business now going from there? So he's going to kind of wrap up. And Darin's awesome. I'm sure he'll talk about that as well, but Kim's going to kind of just wrap it up for us on the 27th. We're going to send out the badge. If you're asking for a time, it'll come. You'll see it on the Champions page a little bit later. Now, I don't want to take too much of Darin's time. I know his time is precious, as is everybody else's. Let me just quickly, if you are unfamiliar with who he is, welcome to the world of Shakeology. He is the co-creator of Shakeology and the Beachbody Ultimate Reset, author of Super Life, the 5 forces that will make you healthy, fit, and internally awesome. He's known as our ingredient hunter since he travels the world searching for quality ingredients and for healthy living. He's a nutrition expert, and he is the host of the Inside Shakeology podcast and YouTube series. Let's all give a silent clap and welcome to our friend Darin Olien. Darin, welcome to the call.
Hey, what's up? How are you? How's it going? What's up, everyone? Do you want me to just dive in and just get going? Is that what you...
I do. Let's do it.
Okay, let's do it. So one of my favorite topics, talking about healthy food and great supplements and amazing botanicals. Just so happens we have a pretty bag, a great alliance here at Beachbody to allow this thing called Shakeology to exist. And so I just want to always give a shout out to Carl and Isabel for having the vision that I could then share my vision with and create something that's never hasn't been in the marketplace, certainly since we launched it. So, I mean, let me just jump in here. It's like what the hell is Shakeology anyway, right? Because people can really kind of clump all this stuff into, well, it's a protein shake. It's a this, it's a that. Here's this product, here's that product. But here, I'm going to give you some tidbits that are real, that are truthful, that are honest, and something that I've dedicated my life to. And again, Beachbody, coming from the top down, have dedicated their lives to making sure that quality product and that pretty bag has the potency, the power from the far off reaches and lands from around this beautiful planet. So really, if I were to say what in the sentence, what is Shakeology? And I would say easily it's the delivery system of some of the greatest botanicals in the world. So when Carl and Isabel came to me and said, hey, we're thinking about creating a formulation, I think a meal replacement. And I certainly believed Carl when he said it, and I certainly had a symbiotic alliance with Isabel in terms of how we approach these things. So early on, I was hooked in terms of what we could actually do here. And I want to tell you a little bit about me in 30 seconds, and that is I'm dedicated to scour this planet to bring back some of the greatest nutraceuticals, supplements, foods in the world so that I can get them, i.e. Beachbody, can get them to the amount to as many people as possible so that you, by consuming them, have some of these great botanicals that have been used for thousands of years that can help facilitate your body to live at an optimum level. Therefore, you can then go kick ass and live the kind of life that you want. This is not about, and it's never been about for me, marketing and showing you here and showing you there. No, it's about finding these botanicals, making sure that the quality is correct, that where they're coming from is with directly the people, the processors, the farmers, the harvesters, and that we test everything to make sure that what's in that bag is supposed to be. And what isn't in there, isn't there, with the toxins and the crazy environmental pollutants that are being spewed all over this planet. It's a very important thing that you know some of the differences that Shakeology is, and the spending of time and money, huge money, to support the quality of this product, to make sure that those plants and those botanicals are in the proper process correctly, in the proper state, and have the active compounds in those. So I'll get back into that a little bit. So it's not a protein shake. It's a coming together of some of these great botanicals so that you're filling the gaps of nutrition these days, right? So here's the thing. In the early 1900s, Congress put out to the agricultural community, hey, how's our soil? How's our food? And you know what they came back with nearly 100 years ago? They came back, our food is minerally deprived and our soils are minerally deficient. Thereby, if you are micronutrient starved, you ultimately are running down the road of having some big issues. And look around. We have obesity, diabetes, heart disease, cancers. We have all of this stuff. I'm not saying that Shakeology is curing those things. The difference here is by consuming high nutrient dense foods, micronutrient dense foods, that you're getting what the body has been missing for a very long time. That is the question I asked myself when I came onto this project, when I came on with Isabel to formulate this thing and saying, okay, what do people require right here, right now? So why not go out and gather these botanicals that people need so they're not nutrient starved? See, the thing is, we have so much food that we have volume producing food and we get full, but our cells and our physiology is deprived. So Shakeology is that delivery system of filling in those gaps that largely have been there for a very long time. Okay, so that's the reason or the intention that we started with. And there comes with that, these great kind of aspects of Shakeology, right? To which we've had, now in the second run of clinical data being produced on what it is that I'm talking about. So the thing is that it's not a magic bullet. So this is the difference. There's, even the performance line. Performance is very specific in, hey, recovery, pre-workout, post-workout, before you go to bed, all that. Very specific. That's performance. Shakeology is based on needing to consume those nutrient-dense foods over time. So it's not like you're taking this and being stimulated like a cup of coffee. We have some of the greatest adaptogenic herbs and mushrooms in that formula for the very purpose of helping to mitigate and balance the body and calm down stress. And then we have tons of other nutrient-dense plants and fruits and all the things contributing all this phytonutrient activity and micronutrient activity. So we're not a magic bullet. And I'm not here to sell you to drink it every day. I'm here to tell you that consuming nutrient-dense foods for which we're missing in our world is absolutely essential. I would say that whether I'm on this call about Shakeology or not. Any of you who have followed me, who will follow me, you will know that that is where I come from. So Shakeology is a very important aspect. Hell, for me, it's like selfishly, it works for me, right? So I get to consume it. I get to travel around the world, and I get to know that I'm bringing these superfoods with me. So it's very important to understand what it's not. It's not a magic bullet. There's no artificial colors, flavors, sweeteners, preservatives, none of that crap. And is it expensive? Damn right. It's hard. Do you have any idea the mountaintops and the jungles I've been in to see with my own eyes how to harvest, how to cultivate, how to process, where these herbs come from? So in order to just follow that up and to have our audit teams and our quality assurance teams and our research and development teams do the testing to allow that to be a safe journey of a product, of an individual ingredient times 50 plus ingredients, you start to understand to do it right, yeah, it's expensive. To do it wrong, you can compare yourself to, who knows what, and what company is putting in what kind of powders, because I guarantee you most of the companies out there do not have the level of commitment, the kind of dollars that they're willing to put towards this aspect. So I just really want to make that clear, because you cannot get that by just turning around the bag. You have to get that by understanding that, A, this is a person that has done it and am backed and supported by Isabel, Carl, and a massive amount of people that are dedicated to make sure that bag has what it's supposed to have in it, okay? So that's a really important thing. So the other aspects of Shakeology, which is awesome and way beyond a protein shake, is those prebiotics, probiotics. What's that for, right? So if you do a little bit of research, you start looking into the preciousness of your inner ecosystem, your microbiome. If your microbiome is off, you largely can't convert certain nutrients into other nutrients that your body then require. When your microbiome is off, brain and other aspects of your neurology is off. Since serotonin is largely created in the gut, 90% of those feel-good neurological activity in your brain is largely being created by your gut. You start to realize the pre and probiotics, the good food that you're feeding your microflora is so important, okay? So we've got pre and probiotics in there. Enzymes. We've put in enzymes. Enzymes are like the labor force of your body. You can largely want to create a road, and if you don't have the labor force to actually do the job, to actually make the road, then guess what? Things don't work well. So when you lack the kind of enzymatic activity that your body requires on a day-to-day basis, then your body starts to not function optimally day to day. So therefore we added the enzymes in there. And again, I touched on adaptogenic herbs. Some of the greatest. I've done some individual talks on adaptogenic herbs, some of the greatest plant contributions on the planet. Again, helping the body regulate itself, helping the body, not stimulating the body, helping the body deal with all kinds of stressors, mentally, emotionally, physically, from the environment. All of these things, the adaptogenic herbs help. I can go on for a week about the importance of adaptogenic herbs. But also we have incredible, from coffee fruit to goji berry to reishi to camu, all of these things are contributing and to chaga, one of my greatest godfather adaptogenic mushrooms, contributing some of the greatest, most high potency antioxidants on the planet. What are antioxidants, you say, Darin? Well, antioxidants are there to fight the breakdown and oxidation and damaging that just living is, by way of us living in this crazy world. We oxidize, we break down, and we age. So the more antioxidant rich foods we can consume on a daily basis, you're starting to get a theme here, right? That consuming these kind of foods over time gives you the toolbox to help live longer, better, stronger, repair, all of that stuff. So the other aspect of Shakeology is, when can you use it? When can you, I had a doctor friend of mine said, when you're talking about these great botanicals, I don't care when you take it in, just get it in, right? So sometimes for me, I consume it in the morning as breakfast. Sometimes I consume it right after a workout. It's just a matter of, sometimes, hell, I'll have Shakeology for dinner and call it. So the bottom line is, Shakeology is made to be able to consume safely and effectively and powerfully on a day-to-day basis. Okay. So then again, a couple little things: the diversity of plant-based proteins, as well as, obviously, we have the whey formula, but with also all these other diverse proteins in there. So again, I can go off on the lack of protein we actually need. So Shakeology is a great balance. It's not some whacked out too much protein, 40 grams a serving, which is insane. The body doesn't need that much. The cells don't need that much. So anyway, that's the kind of ideas and the matrix that went in to developing something that was for a mass amount of people to be able to fill in those the missing links that we're getting just by our standard American diet and standard now UK diet, the adoption of this fast food, fast-paced, overstressed world. Listen, we need all the help we can get. Exercise, do it well. Eat good food, drink good water, get good sleep, and get your damn superfoods in, and that really is the cornerstone of living. The things that I just told you are the pillars of getting 97.5% all of what you need to stay healthy and happy, right? So Shakeology is this really, I think about it every day in a weird way. It's this beautiful bag that I happen to align and get hired by this amazing company that backs up what it's saying, so that we can continue to improve. And that's another important aspect. There's so much that goes behind the scenes to always improve our processing, to improve the ingredients, to find new ones that work within the alchemy of the formula. You can't just throw these things together. Every contribution of an individual ingredient has to work synergistically with the others, whereby when you get these individual ingredients together, you get a maximum effort from all of them. So all of them are ultimately greater than all of the sum of its parts. And that's a really important aspect to start to understand. So how am I doing on time? Do you want to, I can keep going.
We're doing really good on time. How about we go 5 or so minutes, and then we'll do about 5-10 minutes of questions, if that's all right.
Yeah, sure.
Great, thank you.
So, one of the other things is just to get, I have to tell this story or this aspect of Shakeology, which also is a difference maker. And one of the sides, because for me, I have met hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of farmers around the world over the last 15 plus years of doing this superfood hunting. And here's the thing, and I mentioned it a little bit about the journey of an ingredient. And to set the context here, turn over that bag and look how many ingredients are in Shakeology. So when you take something like Schizandra berry, so you're like, what the hell, Schizandra berry, other than maybe a potentially a good girl's name. Schizandra is an adaptogenic herb, one of my favorites, used by the Ming Dynasty and been used for tens of thousands of years as one of the greatest gifting adaptogens on the planet for the body's overall health, well-being, and stress modulation, as well as many other things that I'd probably get put in jail if I really started to get into it. But so that journey of Schizandra comes from the area of eastern China, near encroaching on the Tibetan sovereign area of China, remote area. Some of that area is panda protected, all of this beautiful stuff. And the Schizandra vine finds a counterpart tree and makes its way up and has these beautiful little berries on it. So you're in the woods, in the middle of nowhere. You're in these medium-sized mountains, and that little berry then has to be hand-picked and brought to a village. And that village then has to separate maybe the twigs and the leaves and puts them all together and puts them in a sack. And then that village maybe has to put it on a donkey or put it on a motorcycle or put it in a dilapidated truck and drive to the next bigger village, to where that gathering area is a small town in China where they all come, and then they all come and they do their exchange. That berry then goes to our partners, our processing facilities, our GMP facilities, our quality approved and audited facilities, to where they clean it, process it, extract, re-dry, test everything, making sure it doesn't have what it wants, but also making sure that it has the active compounds that ultimately is the reason we're going after that berry, and ultimately the reason why that berry has been chosen for tens of thousands of years. And then that berry gets approved, it's sent to America, it gets quarantined, it gets tested again. Once it passes, then it gets blended within the formula, and then Shakeology is birthed. Now, that's one ingredient. That's a tiny glimpse into an abbreviated version of a journey of one ingredient. Now, times that by 50, times that by individual. The individual ingredient has to go through individual things for that ingredient to be the most powerful that it can. So I want you to know the path of the quality of the ingredients is incredibly important and something that we take very seriously. Many of the ingredients on the market could have the same name, but they're just passed around as commodities. They're just shown a piece of white paper. The company buys it from a commodity seller, and they don't even really know. They certainly can't tell you the story I just told you. They don't know. Hey, it's a good ingredient, So I'm just going to order it, and I hope that it is what it is, and I hope that it doesn't have the contaminants in it as well. So we don't hope at Beachbody. We have a team of quality assurance. We have a team of research and development, and we go and show up and make sure that our ingredients are what they're supposed to be. So I just want you to know that happens for every single ingredient.
Incredibly impressive stuff. So here, maybe this is one of the questions that came up that maybe can relate similar to what you just referred to. It says, what happens when one area is depleted of a specific ingredient? Is it being replanted? Is it farmed in the same area? How can we sustain all of these ingredients?
Good question. Hard for me to answer because each ingredient is its own journey. Let's just say there's a good side to it, and there could be a bad side to it when not thought out. Obviously, for me, coming from the farmlands of Minnesota and having a father that was an agricultural professor for the University of Minnesota, my heart is always in a farmer. So very important. And my dog Chaga, by the way, is biting my hand. The importance here is that every ingredient we look at Shakeology, because Shakeology is so big and we didn't even realize how big it was going to be, we have to look at each ingredient. Is it sustainable for the future of the business? And the future of the business isn't just what it is what it will be. So we have to look at all aspects. Can we scale? We've had to actually get out of certain ingredients because it couldn't keep up. And we didn't see it as sustainable. And therefore, we had to move sideways on the ingredient aspect and increase other ones to make up for sometimes the ingredients just won't work. It took a long time, for example, the sustainable aspects of chaga mushrooms. In the wild, chaga is very unsustainable to scale it at such a capacity. Whereas when we found a way to do it in a lab from the natural process off of the birch tree and scale it, we could then get the compounds that are supposed to be in chaga and replicate chaga in a way that was sustainable. Because if I just wanted chaga in there and we did it and we wiped out chaga as the supply, well, that's not a very good plan. So each individual ingredient is its own path.
Well, and I think that relates to a question that just barely came in. It says, so with the growth of Beachbody coming international, how can we keep up? How can we sustain these ingredients? And I think that in part, you kind of just answered that question.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. I mean, we are right now, and for the last couple of years, we have our scientific advisory board. My dog's going crazy right now. Our scientific advisory board are many of those plans are centered around what we're doing now and what we're doing in the future. And that is a massive topic and something to where being involved as much as possible to help supply chain not go down, obviously increase in volume and not go down in quality. And it's an important aspect.
Cool. All right, let's do 2 more questions, guys. One of them that was kind of earlier during our cast here. Darin, opinions and recommendations on drinking Shakeology more than once a day. Any concerns there? Is that what's your opinion on that?
Well, no. I mean, listen. I think that it was designed for once a day. It was designed for once a day. Every so often, drinking it twice a day, no problem. What I always say is, listen, it's there to help fill in the gaps. Don't use it as replacing, sleep and water and eating well and all of that stuff. But hell, I've done it so many times when I didn't have a good choice, right? And so I'm in the middle of nowhere and I couldn't find any sort of dinner and I had it so listen, for the amount of choices that you could get yourself involved in, eating some weird shit at 7-Eleven or drinking Shakeology again, that's a pretty good plan to drink Shakeology.
Darin, keeping it real right here. All right, this last question is a personal question. It's coming from me. So the question I have is, now besides chaga, I can probably name 1 to 2 more ingredients in Shakeology. So going to sell Shakeology to talk about Shakeology to a customer, huge believer. I'm a believer. I'm a lifer. But how can I now, what's the best approach that you recommend for me to go out into to my next door neighbor, Mrs. Jones, right there, and say, this is exactly what you need?
So the question is what to say to them?
Yeah, how do I go about now? Because I'm not a scientist. I can't repeat. I probably can't even pronounce more than half of the ingredients. How's the best approach to?
You have to come from your own experience. You have to come. You don't want to be a scientist. You don't want to study this stuff. You want to, come from, hey, I drank it, I feel good, and this is, I learned, and be a student, for God's sakes. Learn about what it is that you're putting in your mouth. Once you get off this call, look up chaga mushroom. Look up Shazandra and look how amazing it is. And look at the research that it has on. So be a student, but be humble and vulnerable and open. Say, listen, I support, I am, God, my talking about chaga beating me up right now. I am consuming this on a day-to-day basis. I feel good. It supports my health and well-being. And then obviously when you're a product of the product, that's no bullshit. People know when you're bullshitting, right? People know when you're not telling the truth. So it's like an apple a day keeps the doctor away. The reason they said that was because an apple is really good. So it's got 300 compounds in it, but you consume that every day. It's great. Well, take Shakeology. It's got 50 plus ingredients that are all better than the apple. So the point is that you start to understand and feel what some of these ingredients are. You're consuming it all the time and you're feeling good. And what's your experience? I don't try to be someone else. Don't try to figure something out and don't stress yourself out. Just come from your truth. I had one coach who's one of the most successful and has been here from day one. And I never knew, but we were actually on the Shakeology podcast, and someone asked her in front of me, she says, "What do you do to sell Shakeology?" And she said, I don't try to know anything. I drank it. I did feel really good. I trust the company. I trust that guy. And if you want to feel good and it's very convenient and you have a busy life and you understand that some of these superfoods are super important, then you probably want to give it a try. That's as much as she said, and she's one of the most successful.
And that's exactly how it should be. I really appreciate that story, that answer, guys. It does come down to figuring out what it does for you and how you respond to it, and then taking that and owning that story and selling your story. Not selling the ingredients. Let Darin and the other team take care of what's inside it. You worry about what it does for you and sharing your story. Darin, phenomenal call, guys. I hope you took lots of notes. I did record this. Watch it again. We'll put on the Champs page, share it with all your coaches. Such amazing content. Thank you so much for jumping on, Darin. I know you have such passion. You do this time and time again, but I keep continuing to feel your passion for this. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much for joining us on our call. We will see you, hopefully another call. Thank you so much.
Thank you.